Hey guys, first thing you want to do is just jump underneath this car and yank that plug out. Get that fluid out of there as fast as you can. Or maybe you want to watch this video first. You don't want to drop that plug first. Make sure that you got your transmission fluid in hand before you ever start on this job. You're going to need that, and it is very hard to get your hands on. Went to 4 stores in my town, could not find that transmission fluid. The closest bottles was 60 miles away. So just to let you know, you want to make sure you got that fluid on hand before you start this job. So let's get started. So what we're working on is a Ford Focus with a dual clutch transmission. And what we'll do is get right underneath it here and show you where that drain plug is at. And there's the drain plug. It is a hex 8mm. And now we'll go to the fill plug. Alright guys, so I'm not going to pull the fill plug out right at the moment. I'm going to pull this drain plug so it'll be draining. And there is the hex socket that I am using to do this job with. I just wanted to give you a picture of that. We're going to get the fluid out of it here, and then you can see how this transmission is a little bit low on fluid. You'll notice that I only got like a quart, maybe a half a quart out of this transmission, which kind of scares me a little bit, but I like to let that run out until you just kind of see a drip. Then you'll want to put that plug back in there. Anyway, let's go on up here and look at this fill plug. Alright guys, so the fill plug, you can see there is the drain plug, and as you come right up over the top there, you'll see the fill plug on the driver's side. Now I have already loosened this fill plug up, and it is ready to pull out and start to add transmission fluid. So to give you a little better idea of where that plug is, you can see there's the plug right there, and right over here is your driver's side axle. So that plug is about 4 inches to the right of that driver's side axle when you're looking in at it. And go ahead and put this drain plug in. Guys, I always like to finish these drain plugs up. I don't like to put them up in there and then go do something else and say, well, I'll tighten it up later. What I like to do is go ahead and tighten it up. I like to go ahead and torque it and everything while I'm there. That way I don't forget anything, and I don't have to worry about that plug being loose when I'm riding down the road. Okay, so here is the torque specs and the fill capacity. You'll notice on the drain plug we have 32 foot-pounds. On the fill plug we have 32 foot-pounds. We have 1.8 quarts on the refill. That's a complete drain and refill. And then of course this is for a dual clutch. So everything you need to know about getting this job done right here with these specs. Alright, so let's start filling this transmission. Okay, so a lot of guys like to gravity feed their fluid into the transmission. And what they'll do is they'll take a long hose and run it down across the tire and into the side of the transmission, and then they'll put a funnel down in the hose. And they'll just pour the fluid in and let it gravity feed down into the transmission. This is a good way to do it. Normally this way takes 2 guys to do it, because you're going to want to watch underneath there and make sure that the hose doesn't come out and you're pouring that $35 to $40 a quart transmission fluid out on the ground. I like the transfer pump, but I know a lot of people don't want to spend, you know, a few dollars on a transfer pump. So if you got to do it this way, just watch underneath there and make sure that you don't lose your transmission fluid as you're trying to fill it. We're back up on top of the car, and I wanted to show you what you're looking at there. That black pipe is a vent tube. You can add transmission fluid right through where that vent tube goes down into the top of the transmission. You pull it out and put your funnel right down in to that hole right there, and start adding your transmission fluid. Now one thing I want to tell you though is make sure that you pull the fill plug out of the transmission, because you'll trap air in the top of the transmission as you're adding fluid, and it'll cause it to burp back up out of there, just like in this little clip. And you don't want that. That'd be a mess. So make sure that you got the fill plug out of it, And also you will want to add that fluid really slowly down into the top of that transmission so that you don't cause yourself any trouble. Alright, so I'm ready to put some transmission fluid in this car. So what we've done is I've hooked my hose up, my transfer pump hose up into the field plug. I run it right up to, you see that line right there? I put a wire tie on that line. I shove the hose back into the transmission a little tight, and then I put that wire tie on there to hold it, so that, because I can't pump it and hold it at the same time. There's a view of the wire ties that I used, and look at this quart of transmission fluid. Man, they are really proud of it. They put a seal on the top of it like that. So anyway, there's a view of the transfer pump that we're going to use, and let's get started putting some fluid in this thing. Alright guys, I want to explain one more thing on this pump. That is into the pump and out of the pump. Just to clear that up and make sure that you know how to use, that you're using this pump and how you need to hook it up to your transmission. So we're pumping some fluid in this. This pump will work really fast, guys. I mean, it will pump these 2 quarts in there really quick, and it doesn't take a whole lot. This is a little thicker than regular automatic transmission fluid. It seems like it's pumping a little harder. I'm going to turn this around so that you can see how it's draining that bottle down right there, and so you'll know when you go to fill it up if your pump is working right, or if you're having any issues, something's not exactly right. So you see how fast it's pulling that down, and but it'll really put that fluid in there quick. Just make sure that you keep your hose all the way down to the bottom of the quart bottle, of course, so that it'll suck all of the fluid out of there that it can get. So we're going to swap out this bottle and put the next bottle in, and hopefully get this transmission filled up. Alright guys, so now we'll get this other bottle and get started pumping it in there. Just remember to always be looking at the fill plug as you're filling this transmission up, making sure that your hose has not moved back out of that plug hole and cause you to be losing fluid or anything like that. But just kind of keep an eye on that, and we'll get these bottles pumped in there. I want you to look, just keep watching that, and watch how fast that bottle drains down as I use this transfer pump. And what I like about these transfer pumps is they're inexpensive. I keep 2 or 3 of them at the shop all the time, and they're just handy. They're handy not just for putting transmission fluid back in a transmission, but actually draining transmission fluid out. We have videos, you know, where we have that hose down in the transmission, and we're pulling fluid out so that we don't make a big mess when we're actually changing the transmission fluid on vehicles. So they're real handy to have around. I have tried them on gasoline before. It didn't work out very well. It lasted through one operation of that, and then and that pretty much done it in. But still, they are really handy to have around. And what I've done, I've run out of transmission fluid in that bottle. I am going to take, and I had a little bit in the other bottle. I'm going to pour it in this bottle. I still do not have any transmission fluid coming out of the transmission at this point. So I'm going to put this little bit, I mean, it is a very little bit that I have in that other bottle, and I'm going to mix it with this, and hopefully it gives me enough to get this transmission filled up. Now these transmissions call for 1.8 quarts. If you get 1.8 quarts in it, you know, you should have it filled. There I am. I got a little drip now, and we are going to go ahead and put the rest of this fluid in there, and I'm going to create a little stream, and as that stream dies down and gets down to a trickle, well, then I'll put my fill plug in there, and we will be done with the transmission fluid change. So one thing I was going to tell you is they call for you driving this transmission down the road. This is more like a gearbox. That's not necessary. If you get that 1.8 to 2 quarts in there, it's not necessary to drive it and then recheck that fluid. Alright guys, we are going to tighten this fuel plug up. We are going to torque it down 32 foot-pounds, and then we're going to send this car back home to the customer. So I hope this video has helped you, and please subscribe to Codeman's Auto.